First of all, congratulations for winning the Blue Scope Building Award for the Best Business Industrial Park. Sydney Corporate Park has been a major undertaking for Hannan properties. What do you think has been the key factors in the success of the corporate park to date?
Thanks for the congratulations, and doing what we've been told not to do is basically where we've been successful. There's any number of consultants and council and governmental agencies that have told us not to do water harvesting, not to do this, not to do that, not to install fridge and we've basically been a little bit naughty at defying them and kept doing what we think people want rather than what government tells us they want.
How do you keep a balance between sustainability and economic return? How do you implement solutions that link economic success, environmental protection and social responsibility?
Don't tell the board, keep it just secret between you and I have a little mathematical exercise that somewhere between 5 and 10% we commit to strange little projects along the way, and they might be a wind turbine, they may be water harvesting through a much bigger project. And we do those things because we're a little bit green, is our phraseology. And whilst you can't solve all the problems arising from your footprint, you can solve some of them.
Each day you welcome around 6,000 working villagers and over 4,000 visitors to the park. What do you think has been the biggest challenge for meeting everyone's expectations?
I think it's more a case of the expectations are constantly changing. There's certainly a corporate culture where people expect to walk into their workplace and not be presented with any problems from the facilities side of their workplace. In many respects, you do feel like a Hilton hotel or a Sheraton waking up in the morning, and we've got a lot of people working overnight. We have cleaners, we have plumbers. We try and get rid of all the hassles through the night, and then we wake up in the morning to greet the guests, very much like a large corporate hotel.
You have an eclectic mix of businesses, from million-dollar car companies, premium products, to providing swimming lessons and dance classes for school kids. Yet people are still surprised by the diversity here. Has this been a challenge in itself?
It frightens me every day. The bigger the client, quite often the more they have the ability and will to look after their own needs. The smaller the client has to actually be fostered, rather than directly focus on how much rent we can get out of them. It's more a case of how can we make their business work better. It follows naturally quite easily that if their business is trading better, then we will reap dividends out of that, both in longevity of the lease and the price they're prepared to pay for it.
Because I know that even as when we talk about it from the Chamber's perspective, when I've told people about the park, they're actually in awe of what's here, but have no knowledge of what's here. You know, that this is becoming a city unto its own, a little village unto its own.
I take my own either workaholic behaviour or laziness as the methodology to decide what tenants we need in here. If I need a haircut, I'd love a hairdresser here. If I need a gym here, I want a gym here. And people vote with their feet. The Minister for Planning in a recent meeting said clearly people are voting with their feet to go there.
That's great. Do you have a hairdresser here?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And a tanning salon and a whacker. You know, I can have a wax, which is probably imagery you don't need to think.
That's right, yes. That's something we don't know. All right, so you not only manage the corporate park, but have interest in several other businesses that are in the park, and you're very hands-on in all aspects. This must require an extensive team and a lot of delegation. How do you empower your staff and know their strengths? And how do you delegate and yet stay connected? What is your ethos on how to handle your employees?
Gee, I'll probably give you a different answer to the recent dead bodies in the executive team. We have some very, very good staff that you can leave alone to do what they need to do, and you quickly identify those people that are capable of sorting themselves out. On the other hand, we have some people that aren't in the corporate culture of Sydney Corporate Park yet, and they get some fairly robust management, is I believe the terminology. There is a desperate skills shortage in management in Australia. I don't know what we do to address it. I think it starts at the very basics of education, where nobody has any accountability for their own results. I simply don't know where to go. But in terms of current staffing, we have some very good people that get on with their job, and they have very flexible hours. I know they're doing their job, their results prove it. Other people need to be micromanaged, and to some extent I'm a bit of a jelly that fills in the gaps, much to the horror of some people that would rather collect a salary and not work that hard for it.
Where do you see the biggest mistakes made in your industry?
There's a mammoth mistake about to be unleashed by City of Sydney Council at the moment in de-zoning industrial space. There is a perception that is an ancient perception that industry needs to somehow look like the 18th century, be full of smokestacks and Alsatians and wire fences. It's not where industry is these days. The people that sit behind these walls using computers are doing the job that might have been done with cold lead and hot lead and cold type in the old days. They're going out to the web instead of printing on paper. Industrious, it is more a case of does it fit within an industrious working village? They're typically people that need a fair bit of floor plate, and therefore, by definition, the high prices of the City of Sydney office towers doesn't meet their needs.
What do you think differentiates the brand of Hannan Properties to others, and what's your vision for the future?
Hannan Properties, I'd like to think, is a reasonably nimble, if not too nimble, entity in that we can change direction and grab opportunities very, very rapidly. Sometimes we can grab them too rapidly and cost ourselves some money in the process. Vision for the future. We've got stage 4 of the Sydney Corporate Park to be redeveloped. That's 80,000 square metres. There are some wild ideas out there of how we do that. They range from a massive indoor stadium with a roof on it, through to the more traditional bulky goods type people, which again will be prohibited by City of Sydney Council, through to a hardware store that brings competition into the area. Vision for the future. The clients are certainly needing shorter and shorter leases so that they too can be nimble about how they operate within their markets.
Okay. Last one, do you see trends arising in property development? What do you see, or do you predict them? What would you predict?
The trend at the moment is to shut up shop, as a general industry comment, in that there's a fair bit of wreckage, as we've seen in the St Heliers and Reed and the other one, I forgot. How that translates, I think you just got to completely remain focused on what the client wants and adapt to what he wants to do.
But do you try to create a trend? Do you try to create trends in what you do?
No, I think we can see demand that the traditional property trust can't react to. They don't get the concept of serving clients smaller footprints in industrial, So we're a bit more nimble in that we can respond to that demand. But no, I don't think you can really dictate how it will operate.
Would you like to add anything? Just anything about the park?
Yeah, if you're challenged for space, come and see us. We can generally find a solution for most people, or even quite often we'll direct people to where we think that another landowner's got something suitable. A lot of time, we can waste a lot of time convincing people to come into what doesn't suit them. Quite often it's easier and better respected by the marketplace to just say, no, forget it, you won't get in here because of size or because of zoning. Why don't you go and try so-and-so's site up the road?
I like the concierge mentality, though, that you have of the corporate park. That's that
Yeah,
hotel mentality.
I mean, we're just looking at in all sorts of business at the moment that a lot of the problems that arise there each day are actually nothing to do with fitness, but it's actually just to do with almost that are you being served floor walker mentality that goes out and resolves the problem before the client even knows they've got a problem. And just making sure that the place is ready to work for them.